Fired me in front of the people who paid for my work, and they did it with a smile. My name is Lucas Peterson. I'm 47 years old. I had been speaking in that boardroom for 16 years. Quarterly reviews, crisis calls, emergency patches at 3 a.m. when the payment system decided to hiccup. That Tuesday morning, I didn't even get past my introduction. "Let's not waste time," the CEO said, tapping his Mont Blanc pen against the glass table. Gavin Sterling, 35 years old, Stanford MBA, trust fund kid who landed the top job because his daddy knew the right investors. Volume turned up to 11, confidence borrowed from his bank account. Your position is eliminated, effective immediately. The room went dead quiet. Not shocked quiet, just uncomfortable quiet. Like someone had mentioned politics at Thanksgiving dinner. I looked around the table at faces I'd known for years. Head of finance stared at his iPad like it held the secrets of the universe. Legal pretended to study her notes. Two investors from Dallas sat at the far end, hands folded, watching this whole thing like dinner theater. Gavin leaned back in his chair, probably practicing his power pose. "Frankly, Lucas, you and that ancient code are holding us back. We're done dragging dead weight into the future. 16 years reduced to dead weight, just like that." I didn't argue. Didn't explain how many nights I'd saved their bacon when the system went sideways. Didn't mention the 1.1 million we processed daily without a single security breach. Didn't point out that their ancient code had never once lost a penny of customer money. I just said, "Then it goes offline in 5 minutes. Gavin actually laughed. One of those short, sharp barks that rich boys make when they think someone's bluffing. "Excuse me?" "You might want to explain that to the investors," I continued, keeping my voice level. "They'll want to know why the payment processing stops before lunch." That's when the room shifted. You know that feeling when everyone suddenly realizes the joke isn't funny anymore? Justin from finance glanced at his screen, then did a double take. "My dashboard just froze," he said quietly, almost embarrassed, like he'd accidentally broken something expensive. "That's not funny," Gavin snapped, his confident smile cracking around the edges. "I'm not joking," I replied. I slid my badge onto the table with a little plastic click. "You dissolved my role. The system responds to roles." I stood up. Nobody stopped me. Nobody said my name. As I walked toward the door, one of the Dallas investors cleared his throat. The sound cut through the silence like a judge's gavel. "Mr. Peterson," he said, and his voice had that careful tone people use when they're trying not to spook a horse. "Is this a threat?" I turned back once, hand on the door handle. "It's a status change." The door closed behind me with a whisper. The elevator doors slid shut. My phone buzzed once in my palm. A single alert appeared on the screen, exactly where I knew it would. License validation pending. I exhaled slowly as the elevator descended. What kind of employee walks out of a boardroom and starts a countdown? The kind who built the system from scratch. The kind who owns the intellectual property. The kind who's tired of being called ancient by kids who think GitHub is a programming language and believe legacy code means old and bad instead of tested and proven. See, here's what Gavin and his shiny new team never bothered to learn. When I started at TechFlow 16 years ago, there was no system. There was a spreadsheet and a prayer. I built that payment processing backbone from the ground up, registered the patents under my own company, and licensed it to TechFlow because, honestly, I liked the work and they treated me right. Back then. The elevator hit the lobby, and my phone was already in my hand. No shaking, no hesitation, just muscle memory from 16 years of managing what everyone else took for granted. License control panel, control. Primary environment, validation shift, pending. I tapped once. A message appeared at the top. Restricted operational mode initiating. Not a shutdown, not sabotage, not some dramatic explosion that would hurt innocent people. Just a pause. A gentle reminder of who actually owned what. The company was still breathing above me, still moving, still assuming they controlled something they'd never bothered to understand. My phone buzzed again. Justin from finance. Hey, quick question. My reports are stuck loading. Is this part of some system update? I didn't answer. Another buzz. System alert. Transaction processing queue expanding. Retry loop engaged. They'd never owned the system. They owned the office lease, the fancy Herman Miller chairs, the authority to hire and fire. They owned the logo on the building and the coffee in the break room. They didn't own the backbone that kept their entire business running. That belonged to Peterson Technologies LLC, incorporated in 2008, 3 years before TechFlow even existed. The elevator opened onto the lobby, and I walked past the reception desk. The security guard, Ryan, nice guy, always asked about my weekend, nodded like it was any other day. Past the worried-looking people who were starting to check their phones, past the front desk where the receptionist was frowning at her computer screen. My phone rang as I pushed through the glass doors into the Austin heat. The Texas sun felt good on my face. Real good. Lucas? Gavin's voice was tight when I answered. Different tone now. Not the boardroom voice. Whatever you think you're doing, you need to undo it. Now. I didn't break anything, Gavin. That's not the point. It's exactly the point. If something were broken, your crack team of modern developers could fix it. Silence on his end. Not the comfortable kind. The kind where someone's brain is spinning its wheels, trying to figure out how they lost control of a conversation. A muffled voice cut in. Justin again. The customer payments aren't going through. They're just sitting in queue. Gavin's voice dropped an octave. Are you holding the system hostage? I removed an assumption. You assumed control meant ownership. You decided wrong when you chose to license my technology instead of building your own. I pushed through the parking garage and headed for my truck. The heat radiating off the concrete felt honest compared to that air-conditioned boardroom full of lies. Legal says this could have serious consequences. Someone else jumped on the call. Probably their new hotshot attorney, the one who charged $500 an hour to tell people what they wanted to hear. It already does, I said, and ended the call without saying goodbye. Behind me, through the glass doors of the building, I could see movement. People standing up, phones coming out, screens being turned toward each other like they were comparing symptoms of some strange disease. The timer in my system kept running, patient as a heartbeat. You know what's more dangerous than a system that explodes? One that quietly stops listening. My phone kept lighting up, but the messages were changing tone. Not panic yet, just that special kind of confusion you get when something you've always taken for granted suddenly isn't there anymore. Payroll queue is backing up, Justin wrote. No error messages, just pending status on everything. I was halfway home when my former IT team started a group call without asking permission first. Old habits. I joined and stayed silent, just listening to the voices I'd worked with for years, trying to figure out what their new bosses had broken. This isn't malware, Aaron from infrastructure said, and I could hear the careful way he was choosing his words. Aaron was good people, one of the few who actually understood the architecture. We've run full scans on everything, nothing hostile in the system. Then why are transactions timing out? Some new hire jumped in, voice too eager, trying to sound smart in front of people who'd been doing this since before he learned what an API was. They're not timing out, Aaron replied, and now his voice was getting that patient tone you use when explaining things to your nephew. They're being acknowledged by the system. They just aren't committing to the database. That doesn't make any sense. It does if you understand how the validation layer works, Aaron said quietly. It means the system is waiting for something. Waiting for what? Dead silence. You could practically hear the gears turning in everyone's heads. Another alert slid across my phone screen. Email server queue exceeding normal parameters. Retry escalation in progress. I muted my line and just listened. In the background, someone else joined the call. Gavin's voice cut through the static, trying to sound controlled, but with that edge that meant he was starting to sweat. This is just transitional friction, he announced to the group. We warned everyone there might be legacy system quirks during the modernization process. An unfamiliar voice replied. Older, measured, with the kind of authority that comes from writing big checks. One of the Dallas investors. My reporting dashboard hasn't updated in 35 minutes. That's being addressed as we speak. How? Your technical team says nothing is actually broken. Exactly, which means whatever this is, it's temporary. Aaron cleared his throat. Temporary issues don't usually ignore administrative overrides. Thick silence followed that observation, the kind where everyone suddenly realizes they're in deeper water than they thought. Another message appeared on my phone. Internal billing system stalled. Manual override rejected. Gavin came back, and now his voice had that sharp edge people get when they're used to money solving their problems, and it suddenly stops working. Who still has legacy system access? No one spoke up. Smart move. I asked a question. Answer me. A quiet voice from legal finally responded. Technically, Gavin, the core validation layer has some external dependencies we're still mapping. External dependencies? Now the investor was paying attention. What kind of external dependencies? We'll discuss the technical details later, Gavin said quickly. The important thing is, we might not have a later, the Dallas investor cut him off. If our invoices don't post today, my partners are going to start asking uncomfortable questions. I ended the call and sat in my truck outside my apartment. The company wasn't falling apart, exactly. It was more like watching someone try to drive a car after cutting the brake lines. Still moving forward, but good luck when you need to stop. Another alert confirmed what I already knew. Authorization request denied. Reason: permission source unverified. The system hadn't stopped working. It had just stopped listening to people who never actually owned it in the first place. What happens when trust fund kids inherit power they never earned? They assume it comes with an instruction manual. 2 hours later, the announcement hit the company-wide email list. I still had access because, honestly, nobody had thought to remove me yet. These things take time when you're busy panicking. Introducing our platform modernization team, it read. 5 names, all under 30, all with those LinkedIn headshots where everyone's trying to look serious and innovative at the same time. Titles that sounded impressive and meant absolutely nothing. I joined the internal video stream out of pure curiosity. Sometimes you just have to watch the train wreck happen. Gavin stood at the front of the conference room, voice bright with that rehearsed confidence that comes from expensive media training. We're moving away from legacy thinking, he said, clicking to a slide that probably cost more to design than most people make in a month. Toward speed, clarity, and true innovation. Up came a slide with my system diagrams on it. Same architecture, same security protocols, same fail-safes I'd designed. Just recolored with their new brand palette and renamed with buzzwords that made my teeth hurt. This validation layer here, Brooke Williams stepped forward, pointing at my work with a laser pointer like she was revealing the secrets of the universe. Fresh out of a coding boot camp, probably. Dangerous combination of confidence and inexperience. It's really just legacy scaffolding. We're streamlining it. Aaron's voice cut in from somewhere off camera. That module isn't scaffolding, Brooke. Long pause. Brooke smiled anyway, the kind of smile that says she's used to being the smartest person in rooms full of people who don't know better. It hasn't been updated in months. We're archiving it to reduce system complexity. I opened my laptop console right there in my truck. The log pulsed once, showing exactly what I expected. Deletion request detected. Source, internal admin. Credential mismatch. The beautiful thing about good architecture is that it protects itself. Archive complete, Brooke announced, sounding pleased with herself like she'd just solved world hunger. Behind the scenes, my system did exactly what I'd designed it to do 16 years ago. It cloned the critical modules, masked the originals, and rerouted everything through backup pathways. The deleted architecture slid one layer deeper into the system, invisible again. A harmless decoy took its place. Looked pretty, did nothing important, perfect for people who confused activity with progress. Gavin nodded approvingly at his shiny new team. This is what real progress looks like, people. Aaron tried one more time. Bless him. Brooke, that directory feeds transaction validation. She waved him off like he was worried about nothing. Validation is centralized now. We've modernized the whole workflow. No, Aaron said, and his voice had that flat tone people get when they're trying not to lose their temper. It never was centralized. The validation layer is distributed across. Gavin cut him off. Enough. We're not relitigating old architectural decisions. My phone chimed softly. Auto-preservation protocol engaged. Core integrity maintained. They'd replaced an architect with PowerPoint slides. Thought renaming things meant understanding them. Every confident sentence they spoke moved them further away from comprehending what they believed they controlled. I was about to close my laptop when another message came in. From Brooke herself. Hey, Lucas, seeing some weird alert logs? You ever notice ghost processes in the system? I stared at that message for a long moment. Ghost processes. That's what she called the security protocols that had kept their money safe for 16 years. I didn't reply. On my screen, their presentation continued. Applause at the right moments. Smiles that looked practiced. In the background, invisible to everyone in that conference room, the system quietly adjusted itself again. Patient as a chess master, protecting the pieces that actually mattered. Sometimes being ignored is worse than being fired. At least when they fire you, they admit you existed. I didn't plan to attend their town hall meeting the next day. My calendar still showed the invite, another little permission nobody had remembered to revoke. I joined anyway, camera off, just another ghost in their machine. Gavin opened with his practiced smile, the one that probably worked great on venture capitalists who didn't know code from coffee. Today, we're unveiling the next phase of our platform evolution. New name appeared on screen. New logo, fresh color scheme, same bones underneath. Like putting racing stripes on a minivan and calling it a sports car. This architecture allows us to move at startup speed, Brooke said, clicking through slides with the confidence of someone who'd never had to fix anything at 3 a.m. We've simplified validation and centralized the routing protocols. My jaw tightened. The diagram on the screen showed a shortcut that didn't exist in reality. If they actually tried to implement what they were showing, the system would accept payments it couldn't verify. Every transaction would be a security violation waiting to happen. I clicked unmute. That configuration won't validate under load. The room went quiet. Gavin saw my name in the participant list, and his practiced smile got a little tighter around the edges. Let's keep technical input to current team members. That routing path bypasses the security protocols. I continued, keeping my voice level. You're creating a compliance nightmare. He's no longer part of this team, Gavin said crisply, talking about me like I wasn't there. Let's move forward with the presentation. A few faces shifted on screen. Aaron looked down at his desk. Justin shifted in his chair. Nobody spoke up. Funny how quiet people get when their mortgage payments depend on not rocking the boat. Brooke continued, half a beat too fast, trying to keep the momentum going. As you can see, our performance metrics improve immediately with this approach. In the chat, private messages started popping up. That didn't sound right. Another one. Should legal review this? Someone else. Thought Lucas built that system. But the demo rolled on. Charts showing improvement. Numbers going up and to the right. Applause on cue from people who understood just enough to be dangerous. My phone buzzed with a system alert. Transaction validation attempt rejected. Security protocol mismatch detected. The system was holding firm, doing its job even while they planned to gut it. When the meeting ended, I closed the video stream and sat in the quiet of my apartment. It didn't last long. A video link showed up in my inbox an hour later, forwarded without comment from someone with an anonymous email address. 30 seconds of footage from the town hall. My interruption? Gavin's dismissal. The awkward moment when I pointed out their security flaw. By the time I finished, watching, reactions were piling up underneath. Laughing emoji, shocked face, fire emoji. Someone just wrote, brutal. Another alert slid across my screen. Customer service queue backing up. Estimated impact, significant. They'd erased me from the team, claimed ownership of my work, dismissed expertise as disruption, and now they were sharing videos of it like some kind of office blooper reel. The system didn't argue with any of this. It just adjusted, logged everything, and waited, just like I was doing. You know that moment in old Western movies where the hero realizes he's not dealing with reasonable people? When talking stops being an option, and you have to decide what kind of person you really are? That was my moment. My laptop sat open on the kitchen table. Console logged in, cursor blinking. One command sequence would shut everything down. Complete system failure. The kind of silence that doesn't come back without a complete rebuild. I stared at that blinking cursor for a long time. The little voice in my head whispered, "End this tonight. No more meetings where they pretend your work doesn't matter. No more watching them take credit for things they couldn't build if their lives depended on it." Another alert chimed on my phone. Customer billing system delayed. Impact assessment, significant. But here's the thing about being 47 years old and working in tech for 16 years. You learn the difference between justice and revenge. Justice protects people. Revenge just makes you feel better for about 5 minutes. My phone rang. Aaron's name on the screen. "Lucas, people are freaking out," he said the moment I picked up. "They think we're under attack or something. You're not." "Then what is this?" "A reminder about ownership." He was quiet for a moment, and I could hear keyboards clicking in the background. "They're talking about blaming you, saying this is sabotage." "Of course they are. It's easier than admitting they never understood what they were managing." "Lucas." Aaron's voice got careful. "Did you do this to hurt us? The regular employees, I mean?" I closed my eyes. Aaron was one of the good ones. Had a wife, 2 kids, probably worried about his mortgage like everyone else. I did this so they'd stop pretending they owned something they licensed. The employees will be fine. It's the management that's about to learn some expensive lessons. Another window blinked on my laptop screen. Administrator access probe detected. Source masked. Permission level insufficient. "Someone's trying to hack their way in," I told Aaron. "Probably Brooke or one of her coding bootcamp friends." Can they get in? Not without my permission. That's kind of the point. I hung up and watched the security logs populate. More attempts, clumsier each time. Someone was getting desperate, trying everything they could think of to force their way past protections they didn't understand. Another message appeared in my inbox. This one from legal, short and careful. Strongly advise you to disengage from all company systems immediately. I typed back, I'm not engaged with company systems. I'm engaged with my systems. Then I sat back and waited. The logs kept filling up with failed attempts. Each one documented, time-stamped, logged for future reference. They weren't trying to fix anything. They were trying to steal control through brute force. The difference between those two approaches would matter very soon. Next morning, the HR email was waiting for me. Brief and polite. Please arrive at 10 a.m. for asset recovery. Security will assist with the transition. Asset recovery. Like I was some kind of security risk, instead of the guy who'd built everything they depended on. The guard who met me in the lobby introduced himself as Ryan. Nice enough guy, probably just doing his job. We'll make this as smooth as possible, he said as we rode up in the elevator. My personal belongings won't cause any trouble, I replied. My old desk looked smaller than I remembered. Someone had already put a cardboard box on my chair and cleared out most of the drawers. A few personal items remained. Coffee mug with a chip in it, 2 notebooks, a picture frame face down like they didn't want to see what was in it. Ryan stayed by the elevator, trying to look professional, while obviously feeling awkward about the whole situation. Take whatever time you need, he said. I opened the bottom drawer, the one that always stuck. A folder slipped forward, edges yellowed with age. My handwriting on the cover. Core Payment Architecture. Initial Design. Inside were the original diagrams. Hand-drawn flowcharts, security protocols, system requirements. All in my handwriting. All dated 2008. All signed with my name and the Peterson Technologies LLC logo. Is that company property? Ryan asked, probably following some script they'd given him. This folder predates TechFlow by 3 years, I said, holding it up. I designed this system before they even existed as a company. My phone buzzed with a legal notice. More accusations. Disruption of business operations. Demands to restore full system access. Threats of prosecution for sabotage. I forwarded everything to my attorney and called her from the hallway. They're escalating, I said when she picked up. Good. Let them. They're demanding you restore access to something they never owned. Send me all your documentation. How much trouble am I in? She laughed. Lucas, they picked a fight they can't win. If they want to make this legal, they'll have to prove ownership, and they can't prove what doesn't exist. An hour later, my phone rang again. Different voice this time. Calm, measured, expensive. Mr. Peterson? This is Bradley Coleman from Meridian Capital Group. I represent the primary investors in TechFlow. I know who you are. Then you know why I'm calling. We need clarification on the core system ownership. What kind of clarification? Is the payment processing system proprietary to TechFlow Solutions? No. Is it licensed from an external entity? Yes. Peterson Technologies LLC. That's my company. Long pause. This contradicts what we were told during due diligence. I imagine it does. We're going to need comprehensive documentation. You'll have it by 2 p.m. Messages started stacking up after that. Careful language from lawyers who suddenly realized they were on the wrong side of a contract dispute. Board requesting emergency session. Immediate clarification needed. Please confirm availability for discussion. Gavin tried calling. I let it go to voicemail. My attorney texted, Documentation package delivered. Board meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning. They can't ignore this. That evening, I got a call from Nicole Martinez. Small company in Dallas, growing steady, building systems the right way. We heard you might be available, she said. We document everything, respect intellectual property, and we don't fire people for being right. What do you need? What do you? Someone who understands that good architecture is worth more than flashy presentations. I joined them the following Monday. We rebuilt their payment system in daylight, with proper contracts, clear ownership, and mutual respect. When something broke, we fixed it together. When someone had a good idea, we listened. 3 months later, TechFlow folded. Turns out investors get nervous when they discover the foundation of a company belongs to someone else. Gavin's next startup lasted 4 months before the funding dried up. Some lessons cost more than others. Me? I'm still building systems, still getting them right, still working with people who understand that respect isn't something you demand, it's something you earn by treating others the way you want to be treated. And my code? It's running just fine. Thanks for asking. Protecting data, processing payments, keeping people's money safe. Same as it's been doing for 16 years. That's what good architecture does. It lasts. Just like respect. You can't fake it, you can't steal it, and you can't buy it with your daddy's money. You earn it one line of code at a time,